Greetings, people of Earth. I have returned. It's been a while since I made a YouTube video. I just really haven't felt very called to share lately. But today I finally got the urge, so we're going to just jump right into it. The topic I'm going to be discussing today is how to shift a perspective or like a belief system inside of you. And I'm just going to share with you 3 steps that have helped me a lot with this. Hopefully it can help you, but just kind of take what resonates because everybody works a little bit differently, and what works for one person might not work for you. But I have found that this method that I'm about to describe has been extremely effective for me. So yeah, I hope it helps. Okay, so we're going to break it down into 3 steps. The first step will be to bring awareness to your current emotions, perspectives, and thoughts. I like to do this by sitting in meditation and doing something called noting, where you just kind of notice what comes up for you. If you want to get an awareness of the full scope of like kind of the internal reality and all the thoughts and stuff that are going on for you, it's best to do that over a longer period of time. So definitely don't rush this step. Another thing that can help with this is just kind of journaling, checking in with yourself throughout the day, writing down, like I'm feeling this way, I'm thinking this way, and that can help you to just kind of like shed the light of awareness onto what's going on for you. You can even like ask friends and say like, hey, like what have you noticed about me lately, and see if they give you anything to go off of. And another important thing is to kind of take stock of your patterns, like what behaviors have I been indulging in, what activities have I been doing, and it's important that you don't judge yourself because there's no like right or wrong answers. It's all about just kind of seeing what's been going on. It's not about seeing like what works and what doesn't work yet. So moving on to step 2, once you've kind of gathered awareness about what you've been feeling and thinking and doing lately, I found that it helps to reflect on what has brought you to those thoughts and those emotions and those activities. So a lot of the time, our different perceptions and thoughts and emotions come from these specific core experiences. They could be core wounds, they could be core positive experiences, or just like the perspectives of the people in our lives. So if you're able to sit down and kind of trace where those perceptions came from, it can bring a lot of relief because it's easier to let go of something when you understand that it wasn't even yours to begin with. And I personally believe that nothing we feel, think, or do is really ours. We're an adaptive species, and we kind of just mold to our environments, especially when we're children. So that helps me a lot, and it also will bring further awareness onto other stuff and any old emotions that you didn't realize were causing the current emotion, because sometimes there are 2 emotions going on. There's like a primary emotion and a secondary emotion, and you might think you feel angry about something, for example, but if you look into your past, you can realize that that anger really stems from like an inner sadness or something. So I find that the best way to like self-reflect is to ask myself questions. So I wrote down a few questions. One question you can ask yourself is, why do I perceive this thing this way? So pick like a certain perception you have. Like, for example, like if you are like nervous to, I don't know, like flirt with someone, like why do I perceive hitting on somebody as scary or something? And just allow space for whatever answer to come up. Instead of like projecting an answer onto yourself, just kind of see what is stirred up, and definitely write down any feelings that you feel in response to the questions as well. Another question I ask myself is, what would have to change about my past for me to not see this given situation this way? And that'll kind of help you through process of elimination to see like, oh, that comes from when I was on the playground and I fell off that swing, and now I feel like slightly unsafe when I'm doing physical activities or whatever the thing is. So yeah, that can be really helpful. Just kind of poke around at different questions and see what works for you. And again, if you need to become more aware and you aren't really sure, sitting in meditation can help. And just kind of generally reflecting on, childhood experiences and seeing if anything rings a bell. This is an ongoing process, and you're not going to be able to probably figure out every single thing that has caused you to be exactly where you are at mentally in one sitting. So just doing a little bit of work will help. You don't need to feel like you need to figure it all out. So anyway, step 3 will be to hold space and allow any negative emotions that come up for you, and let them pass through you. So if you're in a negative internal reality, you're likely feeling a lot of difficult emotions, and it's very difficult to shift into a new perspective when there's like a feeling inside of you that's saying like, I'm not ready to go there. So it's definitely really important to kind of let those emotions pass through you. I found for myself the key to doing this properly is to not try to fix my emotions or try to change them. And the more I can like sit back and let them kind of peel through, the faster you are able to kind of work through that. Some things that help me are listening to like really sad music and just like intentionally like crying or just intentionally being sad. Another thing that's really helped me is I talk to my feelings as if they're separate beings, and I ask them like, like, why are you so sad? Like, is there anything you want to share with me? And that can often like lead to some good like emotional catharsis, because our emotions are kind of like their own little things inside of us, and a lot of the time we don't really like listen to them. So making that intentional space to listen to your feelings is important. And it's also really important to give love to those feelings and let them know that they're nurtured. Kind of the way that you would talk to like a small child is a good way to talk to your feelings. Another thing is like be really patient, because this takes a long time, and you shouldn't feel like you have to force yourself to sit through difficult emotions for long periods of time. Definitely like take breaks when you need to, but with the intention of going back to the feelings so you aren't just like suppressing them or like pushing them away. And then the final step will be to wire in your new perspective that you want to have, or the new belief system that you want to have. So I find that the best way to start this process is to kind of just like meditate on like what perspective you wish to call in, what you think would be a better serving perspective for you about a given situation. And there's also some good questions to ask yourself. A good question I like to ask myself is, how would I want to feel about this situation? And kind of like imagining different emotions that you could feel as opposed to the ones that you had been feeling. Another question I ask myself that's helped me a lot is, if I loved myself 100%, what action would I take, or what perspective would I have? Because that will help you shift into that mindset of like total self-love. And then finally, an important step is to journal about your new perspective as if you already have it. So you could write down, for example, I'm grateful that I perceive things this way because X, Y, and Z. You could write like a thank you note to yourself or whoever, like, thank you for letting me see things this way. And it's also really important to kind of like describe to yourself how it feels to have that new perspective, and really sit in those new feelings and embody that, because that'll help you to shift kind of energetically into that new field. So I hope that this was helpful. It's kind of all I have. If you have any questions or perspectives or anything, please like comment below. And if you found this helpful, if you want to like share it or like it, that would also be cool. Yeah, so I hope that everybody who watches this feels better today, whatever that looks like. And